Namaste. The session I've got for you is all about upper back, shoulders and neck today. This area we hold so much tension, so let's see if we can release and let go a little bit. We'll start with 3 deep breaths, so sitting comfortably. Oh, before you start, you might want a strap and a block for this practice, so just get them ready for later on. I'm going to take 3 nice deep breaths. Inhale, lifting the shoulders. Exhale, sighing out and dropping. So inhale, lifting the shoulders up towards the ears. Hold at the top and then drop. One more time. Nice big breaths. You can do that anytime you want to let go. Then we're going to come to lying. So coming down onto your mat, lying on your back with your knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Take some time to get comfortable. Lift the hips, lengthen them away from the shoulders to space out the spine. You can rest your hands on your belly or down beside the hips. Closing your eyes or nice soft focus. Bringing your attention to your breath, arriving ready for your practice. Notice the breath coming in, your tummy swelling, as the lungs fill with oxygenated air that can take into the body. Maybe you notice the back arches a little more on the inhale. And on the exhale, draw the belly button towards the spine, towards the end of that exhale breath, flattening out the back more on the floor. A little tilt of the pelvis backwards, tailbone lifts a tiny bit, and you feel the hands relaxed on a flat belly. So inhale, letting it swell as the lungs fill with air. Exhale, feeling it deflate down. And I like to roll my shoulders when I'm lying on the floor. Get a massage going. If that doesn't feel nice for you, just like anything in any practice, then you don't have to do it. But you might be able to get rid of some of those knots, some of the tension by rolling the shoulders on the floor. And then take the arms so that they're in cactus pose. So elbows are bent 90 degrees. As best you can, back of the hands is coming onto the mat. Inhale there. As you exhale, lift the fingertips up to the sky, keeping the elbows on the mat. Exhale, hands finish, palm down. As you inhale, fingertips reach up to the ceiling and backs of the hands come towards the mat. So you could be going from mat to the mat, or your arms could be much more in the middle, going slightly forward, slightly back. Doing these movements in time with your breath. And we're lubricating the shoulders, getting some movement in the upper arms, across the back of the shoulders, opening up the front of the shoulders, seeing how this feels for you today. Good. And then releasing and relaxing the arms. Gently roll onto one side and press yourself up to a comfortable seated posture. You might want to grab some blocks or a cushion to sit on. We'll be sat for a little while now. And you don't have to have your legs crossed. You could have them out in front of you. Nice upright spine is the important bit. And we'll do a deltoid stretch. So bringing the hands to the heart to start with. Let's inhale and open them out wide. On the exhale, draw your left hand across the body, catch it in the crook of your right elbow. Okay, so we're looking for a stretch around this left shoulder, and it can be nice and relaxed. If you want to intensify it, the higher up you hold the extended arm, then the more of a stretch you're going to get in, and also the more you reach out through those extended fingertips on the exhale, the more of a stretch you're going to get. So 3 or 4 breaths like this. And then use an inhale to open out and do the other side. So let the right arm sweep across the front of the body and then catch it in the crook of the left elbow. Holding the arm there might be quite enough for the next few breaths, or you can lift the arm up a little, and on each exhale, reach those fingers further, draw the arm in. All of the work that we do today, the breath is so important. So imagine that you could send the breath into the areas that we're stretching out. Good stuff. Open out on an inhale. And bring the hands down. You might want to roll the shoulders, maybe bringing the fingertips to the shoulders and rotating the elbows. We're going to use the stretch that we've just done to take our arms into a version of eagle arms where we wrap them around each other. And there's different options. You can take this as far as you want to. So again, hands start at the heart. Let's inhale, opening out. Exhale, cross the left arm across the top of the right arm and hug your shoulders. And the elbows can rest on top of each other here and stay like that, absolutely fine. If you're able to cross the top of the arms higher than the elbows, you might be able to now lift the hands 90 degrees and backs of the hands come to backs of the hand. Or you might even be able to wrap your forearms around each other, the wrists around each other, and either hold little finger and thumb, or palm to palm. So however you are, whichever version of eagle arms you've taken, we're going to inhale, lift the elbows up. Exhale, draw them down as you round the back and bow. So on the inhale, the elbows lift to stretch out the shoulders. Maybe you take that into a little back bend. You could even look up. On the exhale, you release the work. Let the back round, the head be heavy as you bow down. One more time. This is stretching out the back of the shoulders, across the upper back. Next inhale, unwind your arms. Open them out to the side and let's cross the other way. So now the right arm is crossing over the top of the left arm. Hug the shoulders and release and relax. Now just test how it is on this side. Sometimes you'll get one side where you can do the wrap, sometimes the other side just won't. So if you feel all twisted up and uncomfortable, take one of those other options. And wherever you settle, inhale, lift the elbows up. Exhale, draw them down round the spine and bow. Inhale, lifting up nice and tall through the crown of the head, the spine. And then exhale, let the back round, drop the head as you bow. Last time. Feeling a squeeze between the shoulders. And then a widening across the back of the body, the upper back. Inhale, opening the arms out. Exhale, bring them down to your knees and breathe. Changing the cross of the legs or the way that you're sitting. Don't become uncomfortable, so have a little fidget. And then we're going to do a neck stretch down each side. So you want to have a nice upright spine before we start. Inhale to really lengthen up through the soft palate, up through the crown of the head. On the exhale, drop the left ear over towards the left shoulder. Feel a stretch down the right side of the neck, maybe across the top of the shoulder. You can stay with this, or you can explore a couple of options. Maybe as you inhale, you lift up that left arm, bring it over and rest the hand gently on the ear or just above. And we're not pulling the head down or pushing it down. We're just taking a little extra weight as a guidance, and we want to keep lengthening through the crown of the head. And the hand can stay just as it is on the leg, or you can reach it out to the side. And depending where you put it in space, whether it goes back or up or down, you're going to get a different stretch. So have an explore, find a sweet spot where there's some work going on, juicy stretch, but not painful. Never go into pain, remember. Nice deep breaths. One more time, lengthening crown of the head, away from the shoulder, away from the ground. Good. If you've got your hand here, lifting the head upright, coming back to neutral before we do the other side. Just observing how that feels first. And then dropping over to the right. Right ear in line with the right shoulder. And breathe. Again, you can stay here, or you could lift that right hand up and over. Resting it lightly on the top side of the head. As you gently continue extending the crown of the head away, and maybe reaching out the left arm, exploring where in space you get a good stretch down the side of the neck and over the top of the shoulder. Excellent. Again, coming up. And whenever you want to in this class, rolling the shoulders, shaking out the arms, whatever feels good to release the work. And then come to tabletop pose. Have a block and strap at the front of your mat ready for a bit later on. And then coming to hands under shoulders, knees under hips, unless there's stuff going on, in which case you might prefer to be on fists or forearms. And we're going to take cat-cow, really thinking about this upper back today. So lengthen through the spine, inhale in a neutral type position. On the exhale, round the back, draw the belly up to the sky, lift this central upper back area and drop the head. On the inhale, the pelvis starts to tilt forward, the heart lifts, the shoulder blades, you're going to squeeze them a little bit towards each other today as you lift the head forward. Try that again. So tilting the pelvis back, tummy goes up towards the spine, really rounding into this upper back area, pushing into the mat with the hands, and then tilting the hips, dropping the belly down to the sky, lifting across the heart, lifting the gaze forward, maybe a little squeeze of the shoulder blades towards each other. Couple more times in your own breath length, exploring cat-cow movement, seeing how this is for you today. Thinking about whether you want to come up into down dog next. Otherwise, you might want to walk the hands forward to stay in puppy dog or half down dog, bringing the forehead down towards the floor, pushing into the hands. If you want to come into downward facing dog, hands are a little bit in front of the shoulders. Tuck the toes, inhale, exhale, lift the hips, keep the knees bent to start with. Again, push into the hands, the fingertips, the thumbs. And then slowly you might want to straighten one leg, bending the opposite knee, and the other. Get a stretch down the back of the legs. You can do this in kneeling by taking one foot back, tucking the toes, pushing into the back heel, and then swapping around. So lifting one leg back, stretching out to get some movement in the back of the legs. Good. And both postures, both versions, we're looking for length in the spine. Width across the front of the collarbones, the front of the heart, and the chest is coming down towards the floor or towards the thighs, whichever image works for you. And then we're going to walk our feet forward towards the hands to come into a forward fold. Bending the knees a little, allow the hands to dangle or hold opposite elbows. You can work the hamstrings a little bit more while you're here. Bent knees on an inhale, straightening the legs on the exhale as you bow a little deeper. Bend the knees to release. And exhale, straighten the legs to stretch out the back of the body. Maybe the hands come onto the legs to lift you up and then slide down the legs or dangle to take you into your forward fold. Now I want you to grab a block or a book or a pile of books so that you've got something to press into. Bring the floor up a little higher. You can always get rid of the block if you find you don't need it. So you can start on the highest option and then always work down. But what I want you to do is have something to push on. So I could say palm to the floor, but for a lot of people you're then not going to be able to do the twist that I'm going to show you comfortably. So give yourself some options. We're going to start with both hands on the block, feet hip width apart or maybe even a little wider, and bend the left knee generously so that you can straighten the right leg. Keep the left hand on the block and take the right hand to the right hip. Lengthen out through the spine, so you're probably got the heart and the head more or less parallel to the floor here. Inhale. On the exhale, turn towards the right, and you're trying to turn so that your right shoulder comes up towards the sky and your right elbow points up towards the sky. If that doesn't happen, if they're pointing out to the side, keep the hand on the hip. If you feel you've rotated and it feels good to lift the hand up, then thumb points over the head, fingertips reach up to the sky. And you can look up, sideways or down, depending how that feels in your neck. And if this all feels good and comfortable, you can begin to straighten that bent leg. As you straighten the left leg, do you lose the twist? So just play with that. Don't let straightening the leg become the main focus and lose the rest of the posture. One more big breath in and exhale. Both hands come back to the block to finish. Back in the center, back in your forward fold. Let's do that the other side. So right hand is staying on the block. Right knee is generously bent. Left leg is straighter. Left hand to left hip. Inhale, lengthen through the body. And exhale, slowly turning to the side. Turning as best you can. You might unravel and it might be enough to breathe in and out here. If the top shoulder is comfortable enough to do so, unravel the arm from it, reach up the hand to the sky, thumb pointing over your head. And breathe here before you then might start playing with straightening both legs instead of just the one. See, I'm coming in and out of the twist doing that, so I want you to keep the length across the heart, maybe straightening the leg. Good. One more inhale, and then exhale down. Let go of the block. We won't need that for a while. Have a little sway. And rolling yourself up to standing, maybe climbing the hands up the legs or letting them dangle down, head coming up last. Roll the shoulders back. And take a moment in Tadasana to gather your thoughts, release and relax. Let the shoulders drop away from the ears, roll them slightly back and draw the shoulder blades down the back. This opens up the heart, palms face forward a little. Lovely. And then interlace the fingers. And we're going to take a figure of 8 roll. So lifting the right elbow up and then down. And then the left elbow up and down. And start to get this into a fluid movement. It can be very small, or you can start making those waves bigger, maybe turning to the side to take it into a bit of a twist from side to side. Make it what feels good in your body. Pausing at the center, and we're going to try and change the interlace of the fingers so that it's now the way that feels strange. Different little finger on the bottom, and go the other way. Left elbow out to the side and down. Right elbow up, over and down. See how that goes. Again, you can twist a little bit, or you can keep it very small and centered. Good stuff. Bring the hands to prayer now. So many people over the age of 70 can't lift their arms and keep them raised over their head. See how it is for you. If you want to do small circles instead of big swooping ones, absolutely fine if that's what feels right for your shoulders. Otherwise, let's inhale as we take the arms out to the side and up, palms together overhead. Exhale, bring the palms down the center and finish in front of the heart. Couple more times like that. Enjoy the swooping up and then the sweeping down. A little bend in the knees, maybe to push the arms up and then bring them down. This time, if it's okay, we're going to keep the arms up there. So reaching the hands to the sky. If that doesn't feel right for you, you might want to bring them to cactus arms or back to the heart. See if you can keep the breath going. Are your hands and arms more comfortable in a Y shape, reaching straight up, or maybe even with the palms overhead? That's challenging on the shoulders to press the palms together. Nice and open, lets the shoulders drop down. So a few breaths here. Can you tuck the tailbone? Keep that pelvis in neutral, lift the tummy. The arms start aching. You know that the circulation is struggling to get up into those hands. The muscles are having to work to hold the arms in this position. And we're going to come back into a forward fold. So nice big inhale. Bring the palms down the center. Exhale and bow. Let the hands touch the floor, so bend the knees generously and big stride back on the right foot. So we want the left foot over, under the left knee, perpendicular to the floor, this shin. And you can keep the back knee lifted. It's going to be harder on the balance, or you can drop it down to the floor, pad it up, and it's totally up to you whether you keep the toes tucked under or flat on the floor. If you are wobbly, then heel toe that front foot out to the side a little bit to help your balance. And we're going to come up into a crescent lunge. You can make your way through proposal if you want to, or lift the hands directly up. Again, yogi's choice to keep the arms nice and open. Feel how that is in the shoulders. Maybe play with bringing the palms together and notice how that changes. More tension comes into the shoulders. You really have to concentrate to bring those shoulders back down again. So do what's right for you. We want nothing happening in this lumbar area if we can. So tucking the tailbone under, drawing the belly up and in, engaging core muscles to stabilize us should help that lower back stay neutral. We want the work to be up in the upper back today. So nice big breath to finish. Exhale, brings the hands down, and then we're going to take big circles with our right hand. So keeping the left hand either on the floor, or you could always have a block underneath if that makes it a little easier for you to move in these circles. Bring the right fingers forward, take them up to the sky, back behind you, back fingertips grazing the floor maybe twice more. So 3 big circles. If the shoulder's going no thank you, these can be smaller. And notice how sometimes your thumb leads, and at some point that changes and your little finger leads. So the shoulder rotates in its socket to facilitate these circles. You can watch the hand or keep the gaze forward. Nice. Bringing the hands both to the floor then, tuck the back toes, lift up if you dropped the back knee, so you're back in this runner's lunge. Get a little of momentum, push off with the back foot, and you come back into your forward fold. So dangling down here before we do the other side. And letting the hands meet the floor. Generous stride back with the left foot into your runner's lunge. Always use the opportunity to get length all the way through the body from that back heel to the crown of the head. And you're either staying here in your high lunge or dropping down onto that back knee. Ready to climb up, either coming to proposal, and you can pause there, or bring the hands to the heart, or lift the arms into the air. And be aware of what is happening in the lumbar spine, also in that front knee. Try and keep the knee over the ankle. And breathe. Think, can I open my chest? Can I relax the shoulders? Where we store all this tension by getting some movement in here. We're moving the prana, the life force around. Where does your gaze want to be? Straight ahead, or can you lift the gaze? How does that feel on your neck? Does it change what's going on in your back? Big breath in to finish. Exhale, bringing the hands down to the floor, ready for your big circles. So this time it's the left hand going to reach forward, up, and back. Nice big circles, as big as your body allows. Okay, so big circles for you might be this. Noticing how the arm bones rotate in the shoulder socket. And then bringing the hands down to the floor. We're going to step back, not forwards. So press into the mat and step back, either staying in down dog for a while, or you can come to kneeling and rest in child pose. In downward facing dog, you can play with bending and straightening the legs, drawing the heels slowly down towards the floor, really extending from the hands all the way up through the shoulders, up through the spine to the sit bones at the back of the hips, pressing index finger and thumb into the mat, trying to widen across the chest and soften the upper middle back. And everyone coming down to all fours, we'll meet together there. Now, I always use the terms half down dog, puppy dog interchangeably, but sometimes they do refer to different postures. So puppy dog, walking the hands forward, can become Anahatasana, which is melting heart pose. So if you want to keep on your knees this time, reach the hands forward, pressing into the palms, and either forehead coming towards the block or the floor. And you're trying to melt your heart, your chest down onto the mat. It doesn't matter if it doesn't get there. You can release, come away again on the inhale, and then melt it down. Feeling that work in the shoulder blades as it comes down. So 3 or 4 breaths like this. Take it steady. Don't overstress the shoulders. You can always do this on forearms. Lovely. And then if you want or need to, again, you can press yourself up. You could roll the shoulders, or you might want to come back to child, take the hands down beside the feet and soften all across the back, breathing into the back body, letting the shoulders broaden and widen. Rising up to tabletop, ready to take thread the needle pose, where we thread one arm underneath the other, coming into a twist. If you find your head doesn't come to the floor in a minute, one option is to rest it on a block. So have a block within reaching distance if that might be useful for you. I'm going to start in a nice square tabletop, knees under hips, hands under shoulders, press into the right hand, and you can do this on the right forearm if you prefer, or the right fist. Inhale, lengthen out the left arm, out to the side or maybe up to the sky. And then on the exhale, thread that left hand under the right arm, turn towards the right, and then unwind again. So we're not settling in the pose just yet. Opening out on the inhale, nice big stretch up to the sky. And again, getting the body used to the idea of coming into this twist. Maybe you come a little lower down, don't quite settle. One more time, inhale, opening out to the side, and then we're going to do our thread the needle. So we thread the left hand underneath the right arm. The left shoulder finds the mat, so you come down towards the floor. And again, if that left cheek is in mid-air rather than being on the mat now, maybe try resting a block underneath it. Let the left hand be heavy. So see some people with their hands up in the air. Let it rest down onto the mat. And the right hand can stay just as it is. You can rest on the right forearm. You might want to bring the palm of the hand onto the mat and push into the mat. This rotates the body a little more into the twist. Whereas we're working the shoulders and the upper back particularly, you might want to walk your fingertips forward, and by stretching the top arm out above the head, get a little more work into that top shoulder. If the back could be more comfortable, try shifting the knees forward or wider apart or backwards. And when you've found your place to settle, spend some breaths trying to release and relax. Use the exhale to soften. When you're ready to come out of this twist, you want to use the right palm next to your face to press the right hand into the mat. Unwind yourself, lift the left hand out to the side, and come back to all fours. Square yourself up in tabletop pose. Nice neutral spine, long back of the neck. Pause here. And then we're going to do the other side. Inhale, lifting the right hand out, maybe up. Exhale, threading the hand under. Twisting but not settling. Inhale, unwind. Lift the right hand out to the side. Exhale, see if you can come a little deeper, a little down towards the floor, a little more. Last time, unwind. Inhale, open out. Exhale, thread the needle underneath the left arm. Let the right shoulder come to the floor. Let that right arm be heavy, right hand, fingers gently curled. And decide if the left forearm is going to be on the floor, the left palm pushing into the floor, or walking the left fingertips out above the head to come more into the twist. Remember the options you've got with the knees, walking them back or closer together, further apart. Where is your comfortable twist that you could stay for a few more breaths here? Bringing the left palm close to the face. Press into the left hand, unravel. Right hand out to the side and come back to all fours. Lovely. You might want to come back to child pose. You might want to sit back on your haunches and roll the shoulders. Again, the option of having the hands down by the feet, palms face up, really helps soften and spread the back of the shoulders. And when you're ready, I want you to slither onto your bellies. And we'll try and get some work in the upper back. All of our supine back bends are trying to work the upper back more than the lower back. So you could take Sphinx pose here and work for a few breaths, staying like that. If you feel it in the lower back, press the toenails of the little toes into the floor. That helps spread across the back of the pelvis, inwardly rotating the thighs. A little bit of glute engagement, tummy engagement, lifting forward. If you don't like that, then resting the hands in front of you and the forehead onto the hands in crocodile pose, that might be enough of a back bend. If you want to work deeper here, you could grab your strap, and if you haven't got a yoga strap, a dressing gown, belt or similar will do. And you want something you could just take a little bit wider than hip width apart behind your back. So taking the belt or the strap in both hands. I want you to reach the hands away from the shoulders. So stretching out the arms. Maybe you'll feel this helps lift the chest a little. And then relax and release down. So keep going like that, extending through the crown of the head, out through the toes, pushing the hands away from you, and then releasing down. And you could interlace the fingers behind the back. Some people don't like the feeling of doing that. If you're doing that, you're stretching out through the knuckles, and then releasing and relaxing down. And again, stretching out through the knuckles, releasing and relaxing down. Good. You could even lift the toes off the floor at the same time. The last couple of breaths, come into a full locust pose. Do what's right for you. And then release, relax. And you can either stay in crocodile pose, or if you want to, press yourself back through cat stretch. If you want to, all the way back to child pose. Whatever helps your back relax and release out of that back bend. And after a few breaths, coming to a comfortable seated position.
And having your belt ready, or if you were okay interlacing the fingers behind the back for that last posture, that's going to be fine for you now, or it might be fine for you again now. So you could be kneeling, you could have your feet out in front of you. Again, nice to get the hips up in blocks. You could be sitting cross-legged. Take the belt in your hands behind you, about hip width apart, maybe a little wider. Draw the elbows back. And I want you to bring the belt around to the left-hand side. So pulling with your left hand, bring the right knuckles around the side of the body. And breathe. We're looking for a work in this shoulder, a stretch in this shoulder. So if the fingers can interlace, they're drawing around the back of the body, and then squeeze the elbows towards each other. Open across the front of the heart and breathe there. Okay, I'll just show you that from behind on the other side. So you're taking your belt in your hand, and it's going to be the opposite way round now for you, but you want to be drawing your right hand forward to bring the left hand around the side of the body. Okay, and what that looks like, if the fingers are interlaced, you're bringing the knuckles around the right hand hip or the right hand waist and drawing them forward, squeezing the elbows towards each other. Draw that right elbow back. Lovely. And we're going to do a shoulder roll next on the floor. You might want to watch this next part and then replay it and do it yourself. You've got to be cautious with shoulders, okay? There's lots of joints, ligaments, muscles that we can strain and do nasty bits too. So really taking it steady. If you watch what I'm about to do and don't like it, got a gentler option of a shoulder roll against the wall, where you'd stretch your arms out on the wall. I'll do the right hand for you, the right arm first. So keeping the right arm extended, you then start turning away from it. And you get a stretch here in the shoulder. I'll just show you what that looks like the other way round. So as you start turning, the back is coming closer to the arm. You very much are controlling how much work is going on in the shoulder. If you want to do a shoulder roll on the floor, then stretching your arms out. Let's say you take the right hand out first and you use your left hand, just bring it under the shoulder, the left shoulder, press into the floor to help you roll onto your right hip. You can bend the knees and stay here. The head can rest down or float above the floor. You might want to take it a little bit deeper by pressing the left foot into the floor to rotate you round further, or bring that left foot behind the body. Maybe even the left arm comes back and looks for those right fingers to interlace with. Okay, wherever you end up, it should still be not comfortable. I was going to say comfortable. It shouldn't be painful. Okay, any sharp pains, pulling, stabbing, searing, hot pains, not good. Come out. Gentle, drawing, stretching sensation, absolutely fine. When you've had enough of that, gently unrolling and setting up ready for the other side. So left arm stretching out shoulder height, and then using the right hand to gently roll yourself onto the left hip. Again, knees can bend if you want to, and you can rest there. Might be plenty enough work. Only if you're not feeling it do you want to start exploring these other options. Taking the right foot into the floor. Okay, this isn't what I would suggest first time you do this posture. It's if you've been doing this a while and you think, yeah, it's time to try and open these shoulders up more, Then maybe you could take the foot back, and again, maybe the top hand goes over the back. If not meeting the hand, maybe it rests on the top hip. Okay? When you get to your edge, stay there and breathe and use the pulse of the breath to get into the stretch. Exhale into the stretch. Release and relax into the stretch. Do not force, do not go beyond your edge. You're just going to do yourself damage and have to rest and recover a lot longer than if you'd done it gentler in the first place. So when you're finished with your shoulder rolls, gently bringing yourself out, hands coming under the shoulders, and draw yourself either back to kneeling, sitting, child pose, whatever you want to do. Get those shoulders moving, get the blood supply going again. Ready for our last posture before we come onto the floor. So again, perhaps you want to sit for this, and I'm going to demonstrate with a belt. We're going to look at the upper half of cow face pose. So forget about the legs, that's something different if we're working the hips. As everything is about the upper body today, we're just doing the arms. I want you to have your belt or strap in your left hand and reach the left hand up to the sky. Take your right hand out to the side, bend the elbow, and bring the back of the right hand onto the back of your hip, back of your pelvis there. And then by bending the left elbow, drop the belt down and catch hold of it. So if I turn around, it's going to look something like this. And then the work begins. So from here, you can draw the belt down. So you're bringing this top hand down, taking the top elbow up, and then maybe you walk the hand up the strap. And do it again. So drawing the belt down, keep the top elbow up and the bottom elbow down. So they're drawing away in opposite directions. And over a few breaths, you might get the fingers closer and closer together. Some people can interlace, or not interlace, link fingers like in a monkey grip and stay there. Some people are going to be a foot apart or even right down here at hips and above the shoulder. Absolutely fine as long as you're getting some work. So we're meant to be making the ears of a cow, one ear pointing up, one ear pointing down with our elbows. So big inhale to finish, lifting those elbows, stretching them out in opposite directions, and then release the bottom arm and the top arm and get some movement into those shoulders to release from the posture. And we'll try the other side. Normally you have one side tighter than the other, so see how it is for you. Belt into the right hand, lift the right arm up. Left hand reaches out to the side, bend the right elbow, left elbow, and drop the belt down into the left hand. And then start working. So inhale, draw that top elbow up, bring the strap down so that top hand comes down, and then walk the bottom fingers up the strap, a little or a lot, it's up to you. If you find you're doing this, coming into a back bend, chin lifting to the sky, ease the belt between the fingers, let it slip between the fingers, draw the tummy in, tuck the chin a little, keep a nice tall spine, and then begin to work again. So we want the work in the shoulders, not in the neck, not in the front of the ribs or the lower back, in the shoulders. And doing this over time, and it might be very gradually over time, and you'll get more and more flexibility into the shoulders. And your hands might never link together, or you might find it easy to link together. Everyone is made differently, bones are set differently, the muscles and the shape of the arms are different. So as long as you're working at your capacity, one last big stretch out of those elbows in opposite directions, and then enjoy the sweet release of coming out of that posture. Hard work on those shoulders. And it's time to make your way down onto the floor now. So gather together anything you might need for relaxation, such as a blanket, pair of socks, and I'd like you to bring a block or a thick paperback or hardback book with you to pop between your knees. Going to lay down on the floor, put the brick or the block or the book between your knees, keep them bent, preparing for bridge pose. So hands palm face down beside the hips. Take a moment to wriggle shoulders, lengthen out the back, walking the feet up towards the hips until the heels lift off the ground, and then just walking them back a little bit so they're nice and flat on the floor to support you. So squeezing the brick a little, that's going to help keep the knees pointing up to the sky and engaging the core muscles. We're going to inhale, push into the feet, lift the hips, roll up the spine up towards the shoulders. And then exhale, roll back down, drawing the belly down, hips come onto the floor, release. And again, tucking the tailbone as you start to roll up, little squeeze of the thighs, the hips, the glutes, rolling up the spine towards the shoulders, and down gradually, hips coming down last. You can keep working dynamically. What might be nice now is to take the block from between the knees, roll up into your bridge pose, and pop your block underneath the hips. Okay, and you need to be a little bit precise with this position. Don't want it on your tailbone, don't want it on your spine. It's got to be at the back, the bony part of the back of the pelvis. And you could also use a bolster for this, or several firm cushions. So what we've done now is brought ourselves into an inversion and staying there. Like I say, not right for everyone. If you don't want the head to be below the heart, blood pressure issues, something else that's going on in your body that you know better, then please keep working dynamically or rest in constructive rest pose. But what this does is lets the heart pump a little more oxygenated blood into the upper back, around the shoulders, neck, into the head. So you might feel yourself getting a little warmer, your face flushing. And this should feel easy and relaxed. It should feel good. Couple more breaths in and out. When you're ready, pressing into the feet, lift the hips high on an inhale. That should release your block, which could be at any height, by the way. I meant to say it could be lower. Some people like it really high. Release that now. Take it out to the side. And decide how you want to spend your relaxation. Does it feel good to stretch the legs out long? Come into our classic Shavasana with palms up to the sky, toes dropping away from each other. Or does it feel more comfortable for your back if the knees stay bent and they rest towards each other with the toes pointing in a little? Maybe the hands don't like this position. If it's more comfortable for you to rest the hands on the ribs or the belly, elbows relaxed on the floor, then please do. And let the eyes close. Have a last fidget
Ask yourself, is there anything else you could do to make yourself a little more comfortable? Maybe if you've got a bolster, popping that under the knees. And then I want you to simply let go. I say simply, but often this is the hardest part. So as you lie here, I want you to think about your body, parts of the body that are contacting the ground. And imagining the body like wax under a warm, sunlit sky. And the wax is gradually going to get warmer and softer. To that lovely point where it's almost melting. It's still a solid. It's not turning to liquid. It's just, if you prodded the wax, it would be warm and squishy. I want you to imagine the skin over your skull and over the face like warm wax, inviting the skin to melt down across your cheeks, down towards your ears. The lips soften and the tongue in the mouth widens. The jaw, warm and soft, releases a little. And the weight seems to go back in the head, as though the brain, the skull, can rest back. And this warm, slightly melting feeling moves down over the throat, the back of the head and the back of the neck, over the shoulders, widening, broadening the shoulders, across the front of the collarbones, down the arms, into the wrists and hands and fingers, which are gently curled, not held in any particular tight position. Feel your fingers warm and soft. And this warmth continues down your torso, around the back of the shoulders, over the shoulder blades, across the front of your chest, down through the ribs, which seem to be widening and softening in the body. Belly, nice and released. The lower back, heavy and spreading out. The hips and pelvis seem to be softening. Bones in your body softening, and the muscles releasing and letting go. Letting that warm softness flow down your legs, down through the ankles, into the feet and the toes. Your whole body feeling a little heavier as it melts gently down towards the floor. And let your attention come back to the breath. As the breath breathes the body, resting here. And slowly allow yourself to deepen the inhales. Breathing the breath down into the body, right down to the tips of the fingers and the tips of the toes, so that they slowly begin to move. And perhaps you want to circle wrists, or ankles, stretch limbs, move the head and the neck.
Perhaps it feels nice to hug the knees up over the chest, one at a time or both together. And you could rock gently from side to side, perhaps resting your hands lightly on your kneecaps and circling them one way and then the other. When you're ready, rolling onto one side, resting there with your eyes closed for a couple more breaths. Slowly use your hands on the floor to press yourself up to a seated position. Bringing your hands in front of your heart. Let's take a nice big breath and an Om to finish today. Inhaling in. Om. One more big breath, breathing into the heart space. And breathing out, taking a bow to your practice, to those shoulders, those amazingly complicated, hard-working, and I hope now a little more released and relaxed shoulders. Namaste.